Hey, folks. Welcome to another episode of Post Loons, live from Allianz Field. I am your host, Jacob Schneider. Tonight, I'm joined by my lovely co host and dear friend, Mr. David Naylor. David, how are you doing this fine evening?
I am doing just fantastic. Enjoyed a great evening of soccer. Been watching some of the other MLS games come down the pipe after the Loons got done with their game tonight. Lots of fun goals, lots of good stuff. But we're here to talk Loons.
Yeah, I know. We'll be talking Minnesota United all night. We'll be talking Leagues Cup, a little messy to Inter Miami results from around the league, and maybe toss in a few hot takes about how bad Tottenham are going to be this year. But we'll be doing that later because we always leave the fun stuff for the end, right, David?
Talking an awful lot for a team that finished like 10th in the league last year.
Hey, last time Chelsea finished outside of the top 10 in the Premier League, they won the league title the next year. So I'm feeling pretty good, but we're gonna focus on MLS for now, folks. It's a third straight 1-1 draw against Los Angeles FC at Allianz Field for Minnesota United. Um, the post game locker room spirits were high. Everybody seemed happy, but to the players, it's another 3 points dropped at home, and they expressed disappointment in the continuing form they show in front of their home fans. As people pay good money to see them, people pay to come out and experience, Wonderwall being sang in front of 20,000 people, and it just hasn't happened enough of late. It's been really disappointing for the players, and they're hoping to get back on track soon. But before we really dig into it, folks, here at Sota Soccer, we are Patreon based. We support each other. You can support us at patreon.com/sodasoc. And all that money goes towards the content creators like myself, like David, like Jeremy and John, who you've seen on these shows with me over the past week, as we did have a triple game week for Minnesota United. And you can support us little for $3 a month, and your support means the world to us. Again, that's patreon.com/sodasoc, and that money goes towards us allowing each other to have the creative freedom we do to produce the content we do. And it's not just Minnesota United. That's Minnesota Roar. That's Minneapolis City SC. That's lower division soccer across the Midwest, Duluth FC, Rochester, all around. So your continued support allows us to grow and flourish as a content creation website. So in advance, we thank you. And for the next hour or so, we will be talking all things MLS and all the shenanigans that go in and outside the league, including some pretty impressive news out of Southern Florida today. But first, David, what is your biggest takeaway from what you saw here at Allianz Field tonight?
So the thing that I think stuck with me, and I'm going to do that thing where I'm positive about this result instead of negative because that's what I do. It's not just the goal that Minnesota scored, which we're going to talk more about in detail as we move, but what I saw in terms of how the attack was working together and in terms of the cohesion they showed and the flair that they showed and attempted to show at times in this game, both with the starting lineup and once subs hit the field, once Song Jong came into the game in the 70th minute, they played with a confidence that felt different to me watching on the broadcast. And I think that is something that, as this team has brought new players in and as this team has worked on integrating new players into the system, you can almost call him anywhere knows to a new player to the system because he just started playing with the team a month ago again. And you have Pookie playing in his third game. You have Song Bin coming back from an injury. You're still getting to see how all these pieces fit together in the attack. And even with only one goal being scored, I still feel very, very impressed by how the attack worked together this evening.
Yeah, no, and I think LAFC are your reigning MLS Cup champions. They have debatably the best roster in Major League Soccer. They brought on a legend of the game in Giorgio Chiellini off the bench, one of the greatest Mexican players to ever play the game. Started for them an MLS 2023 MLS MVP contender, Denny Buanga, played. I think there's a lot of positives to take away, despite the dreadful home form that the club has been in over the past couple of months. I really do think tonight was one of the best performances we've seen from Minnesota United this season, and it comes down to them playing above their competition, who sits second in the Western Conference, playing above their competition, who won MLS Cup 2022, and above the competition, who nearly won the CONCACAF Champions League this year. There's a lot of positives to take away. It would certainly feel valid for any Loons fan to be very optimistic about what the next few months are going to entail, based on Wednesday's performance with Pookie, tonight's performance with the group. If they can get it all gelled together, there's a real possibility they can make a fun, either a fun Leagues Cup run or a fun 2023 MLS playoff run, David.
The other thing that I want to point out with that is the Houston result on Wednesday was a great result for this team. Yet another great result on the road, a confident win, Teemu Pukki's first goals, things were really good about that game. However, that game falls into an archetype that this team has used to much success that I've written about and talked about a lot before. They won that game with 25% possession. They seeded the ball. They played as the team on the road. They took their chances on the break, and they won the game. We've seen Minnesota do that. Minnesota had over 50% possession in this game tonight. That is not a thing that they have sought to do a lot this season, and they played well in possession, which is not something that has been a hallmark of this team and this team's success this season, hardly at all. So to see that through a full 90 minutes against one of the best teams in the Western Conference, that's a big deal to me. I think that matters.
Yeah. No, I think it does matter. And folks, if you think it matters, send us a question in the chat. Chime in here. Let's get a conversation going on, anything MLS that happened today across the league, what you saw happen in this Minnesota United game. If you were here at Allianz Field, give us a shout. There was an attendance record broken at Allianz Field today with 19,954 persons attending, and that's unbelievable. I mean, they nearly hit 20K, and that's with standing room. I don't know if it's possible to get 20K in here, but I would imagine if you can get 19,954, you can fit another 46 people inside the stadium and break that 20K mark eventually. But then again, fire code and all. We'll see. It'd be cool to see them at the 20K mark. But
stick them up on the roof. It's fine.
Yeah. An impressive display from the Minnesota United supporters this evening. They were deafening. At points, they were some of the loudest I've heard in the stadium this season. I'll note they continued singing Mr. Brightside as the start of the second half kicked off. When it was playing over the noise system, over the sound system at the halftime break, going into the starting whistle for another 90 seconds, they continued the song, the entire stadium, not just the Wonderwall. It was, and it's a testament to how amazing the supporters were this evening. But folks, like I said, get in the chat, talk to me. Let's see what you all have cooking tonight. We've got Christopher Alfepi, always in here talking with us. Thanks for joining us tonight, Chris. He says, why is Cameron Dunbar here if he doesn't get a chance to play when every other left wing is injured? Chris, what I'll note is Cam isn't ideally seen as a winger, primarily as a central attacking midfielder or as sort of a false nine type striker. Obviously, those forwards can be versatile and be put out wide if needed, but more often than not, Cam Dunbar is featuring centrally when he plays for Minnesota United too. Speaking for the Twos, they have a game tomorrow night at the NSC, 8 o'clock kickoff against LAFC 2, and it's expected to be a fairly packed house with a Target USA Cup going on in Blaine right now. So make sure to check that out if you're able to. Tickets are pretty cheap. It's like $10 a person to get in, and you get to watch some of the cool up-and-coming youth academy prospects. You get to see Diego Pacheco's amazing mustache in person, and newcomer Cam Lacey, who has been on a goal-scoring tear for the Twos of late. He's been really well, been playing really well. So that's tomorrow night at the NSC, 8 o'clock kickoff. And, with Cam Dunbar not playing tonight, he's someone I would expect to feature along with first-teamer Mikael Marquez and maybe another player or two from the first-team group could appear there. So go check it out. It'll be fun. But back to
yeah.
Oh, go ahead, David.
My suspicion from further afield than Jacob is from practice and from the coaching staff is that since, as Jacob said, Dunbar has played more in a central role or more as a striker, a false nine, that you'd be playing him a little bit out of position. So then was the coaching staff more comfortable playing him a little bit out of position or playing Hassani Dotson a little bit out of position, which was the lineup decision that was made tonight, was Hassani Dotson in that left wing spot. And we've seen since Dotson's debut in 2019, is that how long it's been?
Yep.
That you can kind of play Hassani all over the field wherever you need him to, particularly on the left side. He started out as a left back when he first broke into Minnesota United first team. So my suspicion is that Heath wants Dotson on the field, and there was an opening at left wing, which is a spot that he's played before and a spot that he can play before, and that's just at least a comfort level thing for the team.
I actually spoke with Adrian about that post game, and he thought Hassani was one of the best performers on the pitch today for the Loons, and I can agree. I thought he was electric. He absolutely shut down the LAFC midfield. Both Sifu and Ilie, when they intertwined and changed, were obliviated by him. I mean, he was absolutely lights out. Defensively, they moved into sort of a 4-3-3. When in the attack, it was that 4-2-3-1 where Dotson pushed up the flank and did some nice overlap play with Zarek Valentin. I thought Hassani was amazing today. One of the best performances he's put on this season, and it came out of position. And it wasn't necessarily because it was out of position. It was just that he was genuinely everywhere and had both these defensive and attacking-minded requirements of him. And he just gave his heart for a full 90. And that needs to be applauded for sure. But I thought Kervin Arriaga had a really good game too. Obviously, the assist on the goal.
Can we talk about the goal?
Yeah, I mean, folks, if you are in the chat, rank this among your favorite MNUFC goals of all time or the best Minnesota United goals of all time.
I texted Jacob at halftime, disclosure for the chat, that this was top five in MLS Minnesota United history, and I said it was a hot take. Jacob said it wasn't a hot take, and the more I think about it, I can't think of many things that rival it in the 7 years now of them being in MLS.
It's like Kervin Arriaga walked into the stadium and was like, "All right, who's got the salsa? Because I've got the chips." Yeah. You like that, David?
No, I don't.
Folks, what a brilliant little chip inside the box from Hunter and international Kervin Arriaga. And I mean, we know what Emmanuel Reynoso can do when he's not his best, when he's playing at such a high level where he's so confident. I mean, genuinely, what a freaking goal, David. But plaudits to LAFC too. Carlos Vela's 34 years old, and he out-sprinted Michael Boxall. He rounded Dane St. Clair. It was a good goal. Bad from Minnesota United's point of view, but from Carlitos Vela, I mean, that was beautiful. It was a lovely run. The more I look at it, the more it's more on Boxy than it is on Dane. And the reason being is Dane failed to push Carlitos outside. He failed to push him, make him make his move outside. He allowed him inside with his hips. And, as a defender, you can't be doing that, David. But at the same time, Dane needs to time his run better. He didn't even, he didn't time it correctly. He wasn't even able to dive at Vela's feet. But I think before we, throw all the blame on Boxy, you have to note too, why is the midfield giving that ball away? How many times today was possession given away by the midfield for sloppy giveaways, for trying too much? And I'm going to point out, like Song Bin, once he came on, he gave away the ball so many times by trying to do too much. Sometimes simple is better. Sometimes playing simplistic, just little 1-2 passes, even if it's back and forth for 30 seconds straight, and not making any progress up the pitch. You're keeping possession. You're allowing the play to develop. They're moving too fast and losing possession, or they're trying too much and losing possession. And if you look at that goal, it all starts with a sloppy giveaway, then a nice through ball, and Boxy being beat, and Dane mistiming his run. But before either of those two can be put at fault, you have to look to the midfield and say it's an unacceptable giveaway, and it started the domino of errors.
Right. And like I'm with that take, and I think that makes a lot of sense. The thing I found interesting is Dane got caught out of his box making a run up to that ball on the goal. That happened again in the second half.
Yes.
On a decent chance for LAFC that ended up not getting converted one way or another, that he got stuck all the way out to the side of his 18 trying to go out for a ball that he didn't end up getting to. I can't remember ever seeing Dane get caught out like that twice in the same game before. Do you think that's on Dane's decision making or on like background factors for him? It's just like it's one of those things that's really obvious as a viewer that it's like that doesn't happen to Dane very often. It happened twice in this game, once leading to a goal, and that was odd to me.
Well, I think it also factors in that he's had this chemistry going with Mickey Tapias for five months now, and despite playing with Bakai Dabasi all of last season as his left center back up till September, Bakai is not Mickey. Mickey's not Bakai. There's a big difference in the way they play, a big difference in the way Dane can play out of the back, and the way he communicates with his defenders. So I think that might be factoring into it. But yeah, Dane just didn't seem fully confident in either situation. But it's also shout out to Stipe Biuk, excuse me, for making that run and testing St. Clair. He was a bit of a menace at times. Mateusz Bogusz came on and had very little impact. And when I saw the starting lineups today, I was like, man, LAFC are going to regret not starting Bogusz through the middle and pushing Vela wide and having Biuk come off the bench. And it turned out to be the other way around because Bogusz was electric Wednesday against St. Louis when LAFC won 3-0. So LAFC attack had their moments. Loons defense was solid. Dane looked a little uncomfortable in those two instances in particular, but there wasn't much for anybody to worry about defensively tonight for Minnesota United.
Can we give some props to Bakai on that, by the way?
Yeah.
Because when did the decision about Tapias' availability come down before the game?
So it was decided Friday afternoon after the training session that was open to media. He's dealing with some inflammation on the inside of his ankles, what Adrian Heath said. So he rolled it. The inflammation is not on the outside, so that the bruising is internal, which means it's very sensitive, which means he's resting it. It's too early to tell if he will not be available come the Leagues Cup next weekend, but all things are pointing to him being ready, and this was just purely precautional from the medical team and Minnesota United.
But I've been harsh on Dabasi a couple of different times since he's been back because he's had some more difficult outings, I would say, than we would expect from him. And he's coming back from a really long absence, so that's not that surprising. But for him to step in after that decision came down yesterday and play a solid 90 and be back at the heart of his defense looking like 2022 Dabasi, I was very, very impressed with how he played tonight and wanted to give him a shout out. That was one of my three things was great job by Dabasi stepping into this defense against a great attack and fitting right in.
Yeah, and we've got Michael Jacobson in the chat. I'm not sure if I've seen you here before, Michael. Thanks for tuning in, and apologies if you have before. I read off a lot of viewers' comments, but thanks for tuning in. If you're like Michael and you want to send us a question, type it in the chat. We'll put it up here on air. We'll read it aloud. We'll discuss it with you. And while you're at it, whether you're on YouTube, whether you're on Facebook, whether you're on Twitter, however you are watching tonight's show, give us a like, give us a share, give us a retweet. Put the YouTube link in your group chat with all your soccer buddies saying, hey, talking Minnesota United post-game, tune in. Let's hear what they have to say. I am live here from Allianz Field. David is live from somewhere in a cornfield in Iowa. Sorry, David, I got to throw a little Iowa shade here and there. But not many people offer live analysis post-game, live from a stadium. That's what we're doing here. So keep those questions coming. Let me talk to you. I just got out of the press conference with Eric Valentine, Michael Boxall, Adrian Heath. Spoke with all three of them post-game about tonight, about the upcoming Leagues Cup, about being outside of the playoff line before the Leagues Cup. the games in hand, everything in between. So get those questions in. Make sure we get some more views in here. Give us a share, a retweet, whatever it is on social media as you watch. But Michael, to your question, you say maybe we already talked about it, but I just joined. Was it weird with Kervin Arriaga, Hassani Dotson, and Will Trapp all in there tonight? No, I don't think so, because those are the three you would expect to play if the Loons were to roll out a 4-3-3, which I first thought it was until the graphic was posted and we saw Hassani Dotson at left wing. David, how did you see the midfield play tonight, and with Hassani in that kind of left-sided role?
Well, you talked about already tonight how Minnesota ceded possession too much from the midfield, and obviously that was one of the root factors in the LAFC goal this game. And it was, to me, one of the factors that stymied some of the pieces of their attack was Will Trapp in particular. I had moments that really frustrated me tonight when Minnesota was in possession. I thought that they did a great job defensively, is what I would say. But in attack and in possession, I thought that both Trapp and Arriaga could have had better moments than they did. Arriaga obviously had the outstanding single moments of this game, but it just didn't feel like Trapp's decision making was where it needed to be. He had the moments where, like, he, after a corner kick, had a ball come to him at the top of the 18, and he blasted it 20 rows high into the wonder wall. Like, that decision felt like it could have been better to me. Had a couple times where they passed the touch. There was a chance LAFC had in about the 80th minute where Trapp and Arriaga had a miscommunication and just let a ball come from Dane St. Clair right to an LAFC midfielder. And, like, those are the pieces of this game that take it from this was 3 points dropped to me to Minnesota didn't have enough quality in all the facets of their game for me to feel as much like it was 2 points dropped, even if it was and could be viewed as such an XG, whatever. Like, the midfield is what I could have used another level from.
And Michael followed it up by just saying it's an unfortunate goal to give up, but overall pretty solid play. And I think that's kind of the consensus across the board here. But one thing I want to note here, David, is that I've mentioned this before here on Post Loons, but Kervin Arriaga and Will Trapp don't seem to mesh well as a midfield pairing, whereas Will Trapp and Hassani Dotson seem to mesh well, and Hassani Dotson and Kervin Arriaga seem to mesh well. So, you might want to call Hassani Dotson the X factor there, but it also might just be the style of each player. Kervin likes to sit back. Will likes to sit back. Hassani likes to drive and be, kind of a wrecker, number 8. So, maybe that factors into the situation a little bit. But I agree. I think Kervin Arriaga's performance on Wednesday did warrant a start today, though. So I understand. And Adrian Heath told me the reason he put Hassani Dotson at left wing is because Joseph Rosales was feeling a knock after Wednesday. Song Bin was coming off of injury, wasn't 90 minutes fit. Emmanuel Ire didn't make the bench because he was not fit enough to play 90 or fit enough to come off the bench in a game as crucial as this. I was a bit surprised not to see Izzy Tajiri-Shradi tonight, though. And I had my gut was saying that he was going to take that left wing spot today, just, based on the past 2 games and his performances. And I think he was unlucky not to feature tonight. David, what are your thoughts on that?
I pretty much just agree with you. Like, you did a really good job summarizing everything there. My expectation going forward is that, like, we have the Leagues Cup match that's their next game a week from tomorrow. Yeah, and then Leagues Cup
8 p.m. kickoff on a Sunday night, David.
Sunday night games. Their next MLS game in the middle of August is also on a Sunday night, for the record.
It's not just that. It's a Sunday night at 8 p.m. I'm not getting out of this place till past midnight. I'm going to get out of here tonight at midnight. Shit, like, I'm going to be there till 1 a.m. on a Monday morning almost. Man.
Can't wait.
MLS After Dark # Leagues Cup edition.
So we move forward in that direction. You would suspect that this left wing question mark with Hassani being there is a temporary thing. As you've pointed out, Izzy Tajiri-Shradi is probably in the running for that spot. You would expect Song Bin, once he is back to full health, to be back in that slot where he was starting before his injury. And even like next Sunday, depending on how Songbin does in training this week and if he's match fit, I would not be shocked to see him get that start and get back to what is more Minnesota's first choice front four with Songbin, Reynoso, Bongi, and Pookie up top now. Like that to me is the very clear first choice front four for the rest of the season. And yes. I'd be a little surprised if we don't end up seeing that on Sunday in the Leagues Cup.
Yeah, and Timothy Hoshin, apologies if I butcher the last name there, Timothy. Thanks for tuning in. He says, I try to watch every one of these shows. I don't have the Apple TV package, so this is the best way to know what happened. We appreciate that. Thanks for tuning in. Seeing these comments means a lot to us because we know the work we're doing here is affecting at least one person. And the mentality I kind of put forth is if by doing this, one person gains something, that makes it worth it. So thanks for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Chris chiming in saying, could the team try Sonny Dotson in the midfield and Kervin Arriaga out wide? Just throwing out ideas. The reason I don't think that works is because Kervin is primarily a 6. And when he is with Honduras, he does actually play as a center back. The better option is, if you're down 2-1 in the 88th minute and he's on the bench, you bring him on at striker purely because of size. Note the late corner kick Minnesota United had where Kervin got a head on it and it went over the bar. That is where he can be influential in attack. But more than anything, Will Trapp and Kervin Arriaga, it's just two defensive-minded midfielders, and it just doesn't mesh as well as one would hope. My take.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. We've talked a decent bit about the midfield dynamics of those three, and it's an interesting puzzle to solve. But I think it's been borne out that the team's gotten it with Kervin's drop in form earlier this season. The team's gotten their best results with Dotson Trapp as the midfield pairing, and that's borne out in numbers. That's borne out in appearance on the pitch, and they got a point without that tonight because of the left wing issue. But that's been felt pretty obvious to me over the last few matches.
And a big thank you to Will Trapp's burner account for tuning in tonight. Our good friend, foot_trap10. A little bit we have here on Sota Soccer. We always see Foot Trap here in the comment section. And with the correlating name, it's a fun little bit. But thanks for tuning in. He says, I think Zarek Valentin did a great job of neutralizing Denny Bouanga, ... gave him nothing. I love this because I want to talk about Z. I want to talk about the performance he had. He's playing out of position, mind you. He's not a left back. And he was phenomenal tonight. Absolutely neutralized Denny Bouanga. And mind you, that's 2023 MLS MVP candidate. That is a dude who scares every single defense in this league. It was a brilliant performance from him. He gave Bogusz nothing when Bogusz came on. He gave Stipe Buick nothing when he was on that side. One of the most solid performers tonight. The Loons' left side of Zarek and Hassani Dotson was the best. Were the best performers tonight.
I'd agree with that.
And that's regardless of Reynoso's goal, regardless of Kervin's assist, they absolutely locked down Cifuentes, Ilya Sanchez, Denny Bouanga, Stipe Buick, and Kellen Acosta. I mean, brilliant. Just a brilliant performance from that left side of the defense, or left side of the Loons. Let's see what else we have going in the chat here. Zarek has been great. Michael Jacobson adds, expected nothing out of him, but he's been almost irreplaceable. Here's a good question for you, David. With Kamar Lawrence back from Gold Cup duty with Jamaica, what do you do at left back? And I'll also add this brief context quickly. The incoming transfer of 21-year-old dual national of England and St. Kitts and Nevis, Ethan Bristow out of Tranmere Rovers in the English 4th Division, it's set to be completed this week, guys. Let's be real. It's set to be completed this week. We'll get news early this week. And per the Pioneer Press, he will not take up a U22 initiative spot, which means the Loons still have one open. So a young left back coming in, Devin Padelford in the mix, Kamar Lawrence back, and the form of Zarek Valentine, what do you do, David?
You play Valentine until further notice. Like you have rotation options, but like it with where Minnesota has positioned themselves in the playoff race, like we can talk about that now if we need to. It's their 10th, so they're one spot outside of the playoffs going into this Leagues Cup break, and they're in they're not in terrible position. Like I almost made the point earlier when you were talking about them not being in the playoffs. They would be sitting in 9th if Houston had not gotten a draw in Colorado tonight. Like they are a point and goal difference away from being in the playoff picture. The problem is
and they have games in hand.
And the problem as usual in MLS is there's a gazillion teams that are in the race for the end of the playoffs because you have teams from Austin in 5th all the way down to Portland.
I got the table right here for you. Western Conference is St. Louis with 41 at the top, and then Houston at 9th with 29, which is the play-in game, and the Loons sit 28th with a game in hand.
A game in hand and better goal difference than Houston.
Not 28th, 28 points with a game in hand, plus a better goal differential.
Yep, but then you have between 5th and 13th, you've got a 6-point gap. There's 30. Austin, I think, has 32 points, and then whoever's in 13th has 26. So you have all 12th. 12th. Okay, so it's everybody except Galaxy and Colorado.
Hey, Davey, you want to make fun of the Galaxy real quick?
Not yet. We'll get there.
Okay. We'll make fun of the Galaxy later, everybody. There. Just a general notice, we will be making fun of the LA Galaxy later.
In the second half of the show.
Who else do I want to make fun of tonight? Gonna make fun of DC United too, probably. And then Nashville. Sorry, Nashville's getting made fun of too. But that's later. All right, back to you, David.
So anyway, like some of the people who are frustrated that Minnesota didn't get 3 points tonight have pointed out, like they need every point they can get for the rest of the season. And what it seems to me is that even with the Bristow transfer coming through, even with trying to further develop Devin Padelford, you have to play your strongest 11 every single game for the rest of the season. And that means playing Valentine because he's been in the best form. I see we have Chris Appleby back in the chat and on the screen with a question about trading Kemar Lawrence. What do you think about that proposal?
I think if there's value, I think you explore it. It's tough because typically you want 2 for every position. 2 right backs, Zarek Valentine, DJ Taylor. 2 left backs, Devin Padelford and Kemar Lawrence. But if you trade Lawrence, your 2 left backs are both 21. And one of them has never played an MLS minute and is coming from the English 4th division. The other has some MLS minutes on his belt, but is a very raw talent. It's a tough one to be in because Kemar has not had a good season for Minnesota United. He's lost his starting spot with the Jamaican national team. And I just don't know if there's a ton of trade value for him. So you explore it, yes. Can you find a better left back within the league with the experience that Kemar has for what you're going to get for him is the other question. And I'm not sure you can. So, that's where I leave it, David. I'm just not sure. How about you?
It doesn't, like, the value question, I think, is when you were talking about something in MLS, right? It's not the same as talking about the transfer window in England, where you're going to pay the fee, you're going to pay the wages, and the transfer is going to be done. You have to figure out the value that you would get back. This doesn't feel like it's going to be a thing where they trade Lawrence to X other team in MLS for like $250,000 in general allocation money. That doesn't feel like that would suit Minnesota's roster construction needs for a team that is going to try to compete for the playoffs for the rest of the season. It might do something for them in the future, but that's not what they're here for right now. And would you be able if the trade is then I'm going to go out and get another left back, and the trade is left back for left back, why? And like, who is going to want to do that trade, and what would be the subsequent value of it? I'm not like, I am no expert on who is available in MLS or what teams would be talking about that. It just doesn't feel like when Minnesota's front office would be out there like making a phone call to a front office here or there saying, being like, hey, just so you know, this guy could be available. Are they really going to get anything that makes this team better right now? Because my suspicion would be no.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of where I'm at with it. But at the same time, there's a good question in the chat mentioning Kamar's salary. I don't have it offhand, but you can head to the MLSPA website and find Minnesota United salaries there, folks, if that is something that interests you. I just don't know. Like I said, it comes down to whether or not you can find value for him, if there's even a market. I don't know. I really don't. That's a good question, and one that I've been stumped of. But, folks, in the meantime, I got to do a brief halftime show for our podcast here. And it's a halftime where I thank my friends over at Better Edge. Have you ever wished there would be a website that you could use to make bets with your friends? The days of using cash or Venmo for one-to-one bets are over. Better Edge, a Minneapolis-based company, has revolutionized the sports betting scene, allowing their users to bet with or against each other on NBA, NHL, MLB, and soccer competitions like the English Premier League, the UEFA Champions League, and of course, Major League Soccer. They also offer weekly pick'em competitions as well, like our very own MLS Pick'em Challenge, where you can bet real money or Edge Coin, which is play money, and make your picks for the weekend's games. Better Edge is not a sports book that profits off of your loss. You don't bet against Better Edge. You bet against other users on the platform, which is why it's legal to use in Minnesota and 46 other states nationwide. Sign up today and get a free $20 in your account when you visit betteredge.com/loons and create your account. Again, that's betteredge.com/loons to sign up and get $20 in your account today, courtesy of our friends at Better Edge. Thank you to Better Edge for sponsoring today's podcast. David, back to the show. There was something that we wanted to talk about after the little halftime mark of our show. Let me scroll up and find it here in the chat.
It was the Leagues Cup from the Sota Soccer.
Michael Jacobson. When can we talk about the Leagues Cup? Can we talk about League Cups tickets? Did this get included in our season ticket package? I couldn't tell you guys anything about your season ticket packages. What I can tell you, though, is that the Leagues Cup is now a week away, and I'm buzzing. David, are you excited?
I'll get there. I'm not there yet. We'll get there. I'm still thinking about tonight too much.
Thinking about tonight too much. It's in the past, David. You can't talk about the past too much. You got to look ahead to what's coming.
It will be so interesting to see Minnesota United in literally any international competition because they've never done it before. Like that. That's the absolute minimum of it. Is like, this is not something we've seen. The Open Cup, we've seen them lose to a USL League One team. So like, that was a unique and fun and delightful experience. But getting to see them against actual Liga MX competition, I think, is going to be an interesting barometer for the development of the team. They play against Puebla at Allianz Field on Sunday. I have not looked recently at the Liga MX standings. I know their season just has barely started.
You can pull those up, but in the meantime, folks, if you're excited about the Leagues Cup, if you have questions about it, about the format, about the group stage, about the knockout, anything, now is your time to talk about them because this is the only show we're going to be having until the next Leagues Cup game, which is next Sunday. So get those questions in. Talk to us about it. Are you excited? Do you think it's dumb? What are your impressions on it? So let's get a conversation going on the Leagues Cup. But what I'm going to say is the most exciting thing for Minnesota is that they have the group stage at home, and it's a chance to give something back to the fans. One, which is a good performance and excitement. It's been absent from Allianz Field for quite some time. Two, you have a chance to win a boatload of cash and an instant berth in CONCACAF competition. You have to go for it. You have to go all in. I mean, the opportunity's just there. And some of these teams, They know they're going to be rotating. The Chicago Fire are not a great team. They're not that good. It's a winnable match. Puebla, David, do you have the Liga MX standings?
So I will give Puebla some benefit of the doubt, but not much. They are second to last in the very early season Liga MX table, but they've also had an absolutely brutal opening to the season. Their first 3 matches have been Tigres away, Santos at home, and Club America away. That is a brutally difficult opening 3 matches of the
somebody pour that manager a drink. And me, please. Let's get some bar savers here, Allianz Field guys. Come on. It's 11:40. It's 11:10. My God,
10.
I can't read a clock anymore. No, I mean, I'm excited, David. Here's the thing that people may not realize is that Minnesota United is going to be dubbed Team A in their match against Chicago, and Chicago will be dubbed Team B. How that works is Team A is the home side and Team B is the away side for every League's Cup match. However, when Minnesota United hosts, I'm putting quotes and air quotes around it, Puebla is going to be Team A and Minnesota United is going to be Team B. There will be no Minnesota United banners hanging up around the stadium. There will be no Minnesota United flags or anything. This is considered a neutral site for the League's Cup. The on-field presentation is going to be League's Cup flags and banners. It will not be Minnesota United. It will not be Major League Soccer, as this is a neutral site for the group stage. Those banners and all the Minnesota United stuff inside of the venue will return if they are to host a knockout round game here, and that will only happen as if they are the higher seed. That makes sense, David?
It'll be weird, but it's like any other tournament where there's neutral site stuff. Even if the home field is your neutral, it is your home field. It is still a neutral site for the purposes of the group stage game. So I'm honestly kind of excited to see how Allianz looks in that thing, because I have no doubt that it's still going to be quite full of black and blue. But the parts of it that usually are that aren't, I'm sure, will look very interesting one way or another.
Yeah, and the presentation on screen is going to be very different too, with Apple TV. It was announced today. If you go to the MLS News on their website or the MLS Comms Twitter handle, you'll see an article linking to how that's all going to be presented on air, live on television. So check that out if that is something that interests you. But I think what the League's Cup really presents is a chance for Timo Pukki to get cooking, a chance for Ethan Bristow, assuming he's here, to get some minutes and just get some cohesion in the unit, get some wins at home. That is what they need. They need the confidence at home. They need to know that they can get 3 points here and celebrate it because of how important that is.
Yeah, for sure. And again, it's hard to tell because Minnesota have literally never played against Liga MX opposition ever before. But this looks like that portion of this program could be pretty manageable for them.
Yeah.
And Chicago is a team that they've played against and beaten before. So these opening 2 group stage games. Yeah, Puebla finished 11th last season in Liga MX. So you're playing a bottom half team from Liga MX, and you're playing Chicago, who I don't have the MLS standings on hand, but I don't believe they're that high up the Eastern Conference standings. So you have 2 winnable games in your stadium to move on to the knockout stage. So let's cook.
David, I have some bad news. We wanted to make fun of the Galaxy, but they've just got a goal back, and it's now a 1-goal game.
They've gotten a second goal back since the last time I looked then, because it was 3-1 when I last looked.
It's 3-2 now. All right, but we'll touch on that.
Then we can make fun of Vancouver, whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So I love how you look at this as a win-win for us.
Yeah. Whatever.
Okay. And let's see. We've got Foot Trap, the Will Trap Burner account in the chat. Says I think we're going to take this as a win tonight. Okay. David, can you take this as a win tonight or not?
I have said throughout this program here this evening that I am very content with a point against one of the top 3 teams in the Western Conference at home. I will take that result. And it's interesting that Minnesota has at least somewhat seemed to be kind of a bogey team for LAFC, particularly at Allianz Field, because they cannot get 3 points against us. So I'm at peace with that.
Okay. So David, let's swing the news a bit. Today was a groundbreaking moment for American soccer, men's American soccer. Lionel Messi signed a deal with Inter Miami CF, and I still can't get over it. I'm looking outside of Allianz Field right now in the press box, and there's an Argentine flag above the wonder wall because of Emmanuel Reynoso and Franco Fragapane, who do play here. But I look at that, and all I can think about is the greatest footballer to ever grace a pitch. Yes, that's my take. Get wrecked, Ronaldo fanboys. And I just can't compare Pele.
I'm pretty sure you'll have more historical pushback than you will from Ronaldo people.
I was going to say, I find it difficult to compare Pele and Maradona in today's conversation, simply due to how different the game is right now. For me, it's like the comparison of LeBron James and Michael Jordan. The eras of the game were just far too different, and the way they played it was too different to compare them. And I think, comparing Maradona and Pele feels valid. Comparing Messi and Ronaldo, that feels valid. But to compare all four of them, doesn't work for me, David. But Lionel Messi is now a Major League Soccer player. He makes his debut this Friday in the first game of the League's Cup when Inter Miami play Cruz Azul of Liga MX. I mean, do you feel like what I'm feeling right now? I know you can see it on my face. I know you can see and hear it in my voice. Does this reaction do anything for you?
I think it's going to set in much more really with the first time that Leo Messi is on an MLS pitch in, let's say, his first MLS road game, which is going to be at Red Bull Arena in New York or in New Jersey.
And at least he's not playing on a baseball field for his first game.
I was really hoping he was, because that'd be really funny. Welcome to the Eastern Conference. But the first time he walks up to Chris Penso, who has denied him a yellow card against the defender and loses his mind at MLS refereeing. Welcome to MLS, baby.
Yeah. No, and what I'll say too is that I look at this as just, dare I say, the greatest day in American men's soccer history. I truly do think that this is going to forever change Major League Soccer. This is going to forever change the league. Hopefully it changes Inter Miami as a club, because they're absolute doo-doo right now. Dave and I talked about this pregame, but I'm looking at the numbers and I'm doing the math. It doesn't feel plausible for Inter Miami to make the playoffs at this point, and that's stunning. I mean, you're signing Lionel Messi, the greatest player ever. You're signing Sergio Busquets. I'll call him a top 15 defensive midfielder of all time. You're rumored to be bringing in Jordi Alba, who is a mainstay for Barcelona and the Spanish national team over the past 15 years. There's rumors of El Pistolero Luis Suarez, one of the greatest strikers to ever grace the game, coming too. And all these players are, of course, in their elder years, but it doesn't matter. There's this draw. There's this attraction. But you're telling me you want to bring them in and you're not going to make the playoffs? It's a joke what Inter Miami are doing right now. And I really do hope they make the playoffs. Otherwise, this league is going to become an absolute laughing stock, because they brought Leo Messi in and they're going to miss the playoffs. That's embarrassing.
To provide a counter laughing stock argument.
Yeah, go ahead.
The other piece of Inter Miami news that happened today was that their previously designated player, Rodolfo Pizarro, had agreed to a mutual termination of his multi-million-dollar contract with Inter Miami, and therefore isn't receiving any financial compensation for his contract.
I look back to like the Blaze
at all
Tweety bullshit,
right?
Where they broke the laws. I mean, Good
Interesting how
good thing,
that totally works and is legal within the Byzantine MLS roster construction and salary construction rules. That surely Inter Miami, who already have gotten fined and lost draft picks for their handling of the Blessing Matuidi situation and having 4 designated players at the same time, I'm pretty sure they already did that, are yet still linked with all of these players coming over from Europe and from South America that want to play with Leo Messi, that have been playing on multi-million-dollar contracts in Europe. They don't all fit. It doesn't work. So how is this supposed to work from a legality standpoint, in addition to the fact that they're dead last in the entire league and are 12 points out of a playoff spot?
Hashtag for the vibes, David. For the vibes. What I will say is it's a good thing Pizarro has an Adidas sponsorship, the same sponsorship as Inter Miami and Lionel Messi. Really
weird,
nice,
right?
Yeah, no,
interesting.
Really, no, good for him. Good for him. Listen, I hope he gets his payday. I hope he does get a nice little severance package off the record, because he deserves that, despite being one of the most underwhelming signings ever in Major League Soccer, in connection to a price tag. But listen, I'm okay with it. I get to see Lionel Messi play in Major League Soccer. I don't want to know how it's happening. I don't want to know how they bent the rules. I think everybody would have been fine if MLS just said, hey, this is called a Messi spot. They can do it, so they get it. Everybody would have just been like, yeah, okay, we get it. That's fine. Get him in the league. Do whatever it takes. But no, I'm excited. I think it's really, really positive thing. And I also note that we get the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup Friday night after Lionel Messi's debut. It's going to be a brilliant evening of footy. I am not going to sleep well at all, and I'm really looking forward to it. We'll get like that 6 p.m. espresso, and it's going to be a beautiful Friday night of footy. But like you said, Miami are in a terrible spot right now. And they really have to dig themselves out of a hole.
By the way, that game wasn't close. I hope Messi can play center back.
Let's hope he can play goalkeeper, center back, left back, right back, CDM, 8, 10, wing, striker, other center back, head coach.
If they get Busquets, I hope Busquets feels comfortable playing the entire back line himself. Good luck.
What I will say is I do hope that Tata Martino succeeds with Inter Miami and that they find their way. Let's find their way, because it's embarrassing right now, and he's a good coach, so I think it's going to work out. But David, let's do a little wraparound from the league before we get out of here. What do you say?
I'm down.
We've got some results around the league tonight, folks. Reminder, tonight was the final slate of matches before the league's cup kicks off. So games don't resume until August 20th. So these standings are going to be firm until the restart on August 20th. But Orlando beats Atlanta 2-1. Great result for Orlando. Montreal with a dominant performance at home against Charlotte 2-0. Cincinnati continue to show why they are the best team in Major League Soccer at the moment, with a dominant 3-1 win over Nashville SC. Dear Nashville, stop getting red cards so you have a terrible performance in the following game.
The Pico red card was hilarious. It was so bad.
It's just a thought. This is the second straight game with 2 red cards for Nashville. I mean, it's embarrassing.
Since he's good. Since he's real good.
And this is without Brandon Vasquez, by the way.
Yeah,
Vasquez really is back now. Vasquez is back now because the USA are an embarrassing soccer program.
No, but however, Cincinnati got a goal in the 95th minute of this game from their brand new designated player striker.
Bupenza.
Yep.
But on top of that, New England with a ridiculous 4-0 win over DC. Philly 2-1 over NYCFC. Chicago 1-0 over Toronto. Obviously, Loons LAFC 1-1. St. Louis City FC 3-0 over Miami.
Check out Lewin's free kick from that game. The third goal in that game was a banger.
But AZ Jackson had an assist too, so shout out to him. And then Austin FC beat Sporting KC 2-1. Ethan Finley scores. Congrats, Ethan. The most boring game of the night, 0-0, Colorado-Houston. Yikes. And then something I want to talk about is RSL 3-1 over the Red Bulls. RSL are sneaky fun. They are one of the most in terms of like my watchability rankings, RSL are atop them right now. Diego Luna is ridiculously talented. I adore that kid as a footballer. I think he's going to be a star. Chicho Rango, Jefferson Savarino, they're fun now. They are atop my MLS fun rankings.
Luna got a brace tonight. Both really good goals.
Yeah, and then there are still some West Coast kicks going on. Portland lead the Crew 3-2. Seattle and Dallas are tied 1-1, and Vancouver lead the Galaxy, and those are all close to the 90-minute mark right now. So you can catch those endings, or you can just check in 5 minutes or so if you're watching and listening in real time.
So while we're in the making fun of other teams section, shout out to the Timbers, who are winning this game against Columbus, who's a playoff team in the East, which is a great result for them. However, the Timbers scored their first 2 goals in this game within 2 minutes in the first half, both scored by Dairon Asprilla. Great for Dairon Asprilla. Portland Timbers have still never had a player score a hat trick for them in MLS history. Not one. Asprilla got 2 goals in 2 minutes in the first half of this game and got subbed off at the 60th minute. It's still really funny.
It's funny.
It's really funny. And they're winning, and Blanco, who subbed on, Sebastian Blanco, who's really good and subbed on for Asprilla, scored the 3rd goal of this game. So it worked out fine for them as a team. It's still just one of those things that it's like they've been in MLS for like 15, 16 years now and still haven't had that one thing happen. Just weird.
Listen, and the reason we wanted to make fun of the Galaxy, folks, is I'm gonna walk you through the first 20 minutes of this match. 2nd minute, Brian White scores. 9th minute, Chris Mavinga gets a yellow card for the Galaxy. 10th minute, Ryan Galt scores. 2-0 Vancouver. 22nd minute, red card to Chris Mavinga for a second yellow card. Ensuing penalties scored by Galt. Inside 23 minutes, 3-0 Galaxy, 10 men, or 3-0 Vancouver, 10 men Galaxy 0. The 23rd minute, Ricky Puig gets a yellow for protesting the penalty. Okay? Fast forward halftime, 3-0. 61st minute, Galaxy get one back. 74th minute, Galaxy get one back, and we're in the 88th minute right now. If Vancouver loses this, man, that's an embarrassing result, David. But more than anything, the Galaxy continue to be a meme. The most well-known club in Major League Soccer is so poorly run at the moment. It's embarrassing.
The joke I saw about the Galaxy, looking around the internet earlier this evening, is that they need to rehire Chris Klein so they can fire him again.
Listen, it's the only way they'll get in the headline right now.
Ricky Puig is so fun to watch. He's been a huge part of this comeback. But your team is kind of bad.
Yeah, no, and folks, that's kind of your MLS wrap up for the evening. But I also just want to point out here, we're 5 months into Post Loons for 2023. And it's been a phenomenal ride. I just wanted to thank everybody who's consistently in here. I know the names of people who are in here every single time I host this show. I know who tunes in. I know who sends me questions. And I want you to know how forever grateful I am for, your persistence in watching and dealing with me and my array of co-hosts. But, I also note that you doing that is supporting. And it means a lot to me. It means a lot to, excuse me, us here at Sota Soccer. We're nearing an hour here into the show. We're going to wrap up momentarily. But I couldn't wrap up without saying this. We're going into this Leagues Cup break. We'll sort out what our schedule as a content creation team is going to be like this coming week. Speak with the team, see what we come up with. But it's a nice little break. The Leagues Cup isn't as busy of a schedule. Everybody on our team is going to be deserving of this break. It's been May was hectic. The past week has been ridiculous. I mean, a 3-match week. We're all a little burned out, but at the same time, we enjoy it because we see you guys coming back every single time. And then that's what makes it worth it for us. So thank you so much. We appreciate it. Some guys throwing some comments in the chats right now.
It's at least partially me. Don't worry about it.
Appreciate the love. We do appreciate the love. But more than anything here, guys, I need to reiterate that as a content creation website, We are run by you. We are funded by you and our amazing sponsors. Today's was Better Edge. Patreon.com/Sota Soccer. I can't say it enough. As little as $3 a month. That's $36 a year. Listen, I'm a coffee snob. I go and get my Starbucks. It's like $7 now. Go and get my Caribou. It's like $6.50. That's half a coffee is what we're asking. Little $3 a month. Support goes a long way. We appreciate the heck out of you. We're going to wrap up here now shortly. David, it's Minnesota 1, LAFC 1 at Allianz Field. It's the end of the MLS season as we head into the Leagues Cup break, and then there's an MLS restart on August 20th. Leading up till now, I'm going to give you one takeaway, one comment. What is your biggest takeaway from what we've seen from Minnesota United so far this campaign? On the spot.
They're only going to get better than this.
Mm-hmm.
Like that has been my take basically since Pookie's debut. This is only going to get better the more they do and the more they get to play together. We saw the chemistry between Reynoso and Pookie earlier this week. I wrote about that on sotasoccer.com, which you can go read yesterday. It's a lot of fun to see already the common threads in what those two as the core of this team's attack are trying to do together. Pookie didn't have a successful in a night tonight. We didn't have time to talk about him, but that's okay. The more that attacking four gets to play together on the pitch, whether it's in Leagues Cup, whether it's on the practice field, whether it's when the team comes back to MLS on August 20th, I firmly believe that they're just going to get better. And that is as much confidence as I can have about this team going into the final 11 games of the MLS regular season as August and the start of school rolls around. Yeah. I really do think that this is the start of them turning the corner and of figuring out how to play together. And as more minutes come, as more time on the practice field comes, they're just going to get better and better. So I could choose to be negative tonight. I'm not going to. It's a good point.
Optimism feels at an all-time high right now.
It's only up from here.
Yeah, optimism feels at an all-time high for 2023's campaign right now. It's a Pookie party, baby. It's a Pookie party.
He's so fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
If you go back, if you're a nerd like we are and are going to go back and watch this game later this week, take the time. Don't watch the ball. Watch Timo Puki's movement. Just watch what he does off the ball to create space for himself and where he goes on the pitch to find openings in opposing defenses. There were a couple moments tonight where you would just see him shift a little bit to a different position on the field before a pass even was thinking about coming his way. He'll just take a couple of steps one direction to create a little bit of space to make a run, to make a pass, to do stuff. And it's just like you see the experience that he has on the field and the way he just finds himself pockets of space to work in up front. He's not the same kind of striker as like a Luis Amaria, who I will joke about before we're done recording tonight, because we gotta mention that real quick.
Yeah, do that quick. We got to wrap up here, David.
We'll do it quick. Go back and watch the replay and watch Timo Pukki work. He's awesome.
But Luis Amaria, is that his debut?
No, he's been starting for them. I think he's probably started all three of their games in Liga MX.
He got a red card for kicking a dude in the face.
He kicked the dude in the face. Like, if you go watch that replay, he straight up just kicked him in the face.
Yeah, I mean, whew. Oh, wait, we got Christopher Alfebi in the chat saying, "LOL Galaxy." It is 4-2 Vancouver in stoppage time. 4-2 Vancouver in stoppage time. That is that. The Galaxy continue to be a meme. And our take from the beginning of the episode lives another day. It just no. We love to see it. Absolutely love to see a valid take of making fun of the Los Angeles Galaxy. But David, on that note, what do you say we get out of here?
Let's do it.
All right, folks. Thanks again for your support over the past few months. We'll let you know on our social media channels what's going to be coming for the Leagues Cup, the inaugural Leagues Cup this coming week. You can follow me, _Jacob Schneider. It's on screen right now. You can follow David at Prof Cedar. It is on screen as well on Twitter. We're on Threads. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. as a content creation site. You can find my personal channels on Threads, Instagram, and on Twitter public as well. But we're really looking forward to it. It's going to be an exciting month of soccer. We've got the FIFA Women's World Cup. Go USA, go Sophia Smith, go Trinity Rodman. Absolutely go for the three-peat. I am 100% behind it. I'll be getting up at the miserable hours of the wee night to watch and support you. Go kick some ass. And then let's see what the Leagues Cup is going to bring, because it's an exciting time for Major League Soccer and Liga MX fans, David. But on that note, for David Naylor, I'm Jacob Schneider. This was Sota Soccer's Post Loons live from Allianz Field. Thanks so much for tuning in, and have a great rest of your week. Hopefully, we'll see you next weekend. Thanks. Have a good one, guys.
Come on, you Spurs.
London is blue.